So me charging $500 apparently upsets some of you. And let me clarify, by some of you, I mean like 5 to 10 very angry people who don't understand quality, quantity, and value of work. Let's count the stitches. And when I say stitches, I mean each individual stitch. I'm not gonna go by and count 1, 2, 3, but I'm gonna calculate the pattern. And if you don't believe me, you can go buy the pattern. I have it linked. It's by Stitchin' with Abby. And then let's talk about it. So because I don't want to infringe upon Abby and her pattern, because if I go through row by row and explain to you what I'm doing, I will basically give you her pattern, which I'm not gonna do. That's wrong. But I'm gonna write it down and we're gonna count it up together. Okay, so far we have 105 stitches per arm times 2, and then 90 per leg times 2. Adding all of this for the body count. So the grand total for the body is 1,238. Now we have to do the ears. So there's an inner and an outer piece of the ear, and the inner ear is 173 per piece, so that's going to be times 2. I think I got those two confused. The inner ear is 120, the outer is 173, and again both of those are going to be times 2. I didn't use the nose on the pattern as directed because I didn't have the right color yarn, but I will calculate it for the pattern. But I did use more stitches in my actual stitch because of I double stranded instead of using thick yarn. Okay, so nose was 20, and let's calculate our grand total here. So we have 105 plus 105, that's 2 arms, 90 plus 90, which is 2 legs, plus 1,238 for the body, plus 173 plus 173 for the outer ears, plus 120 plus 120 for the inners, and plus 20 for the nose. So we have a grand total of 2,234 stitches. 2,234. Which, in hindsight, doesn't sound like that much, okay? And that's fine. We don't calculate by stitches. Even if we did calculate by stitches, it would still be a large amount. So I don't know this for a fact because I don't use a stitch calculation, but I have seen people calculate their prices with stitches where they calculate, you know, a cent amount, so like 10 cents per stitch. So let's calculate that just for fun, which is still going to be $223.40. So if someone were to say, I utilize price per stitch in my products for pricing, they would come out to a price of $223.40 for the giant stitch project. But that's not including materials. And I think that's where a lot of us are forgetting that we pay for the materials up front. Okay, I usually make these giant projects for fun and I absorb the cost, which is not a problem. If someone wants to buy it, I'm off the moon, I'm off the walls, I'm so happy. But I paid probably about $200 in materials, which is yarn, which if anybody uses that jumbo yarn, you know that there is so much less in a skein than there is in any other type of yarn, which obviously means you go through more yarn, you go through more skeins, more, you know. I pay $10 per ball of yarn, $9.99 per skein. Okay, let's calculate that because we all need receipts. I didn't count how many skeins of yarn I used. I'm just estimating. This is like purely an estimation. I don't remember how many I used. I think I've previously estimated about 15, so let's say 15 times 10. Obviously 150. Let's calculate that with the 223. So that's 375. Okay. I do want to add, I didn't add the cost in for custom eyes, stuffing, or shipping costs that I'll incur if I do end up shipping him. If anybody wants to make any sort of profit on anything, there's a profit margin. I don't use calculations. I don't do it. I just look at things and I price them. That's how it works for me. I've never had an issue in the past, and this is by no means like saying that like, oh, I need to prove anything to anybody. This is more so purely educational because it's frustrating. You know, anybody as a creator, anybody that crochets, does any sort of handmade work and tries to sell it will always get some sort of slack and some sort of kickback on their prices. And it's unfortunate. We shouldn't have to deal with this because you don't know what it took And you, I'm saying you as in consumers, people who are not utilizing the craft, people who don't know how to crochet, you don't know what it took for us to get to the skill level to be able to create products. I've been crocheting for about 3 years, and it took me a long time to get to the point where I felt confident in selling what I have. Because a lot of people don't have that confidence. A lot of people, and I say this with the kindest heart, don't have the quality of product yet. Anybody can get to the level of quality to sell. Anybody can do that. And I challenge anybody, if you feel like you can make this for cheaper, I would love for you to do that. Good for you. But this is me, this is my business, and I'm allowed to do it how I want to. And that's the freedom of having a small business. Also, I can't tell you how long it took me, because if any of you guys have known me and have seen me and my work, you know that I have a massive like, this phone is sitting on a table that is just covered in projects. Like, I start and I stop, and then I pick things up months later. That's what happened with Stitch. I have no idea how long it actually took me. I just gauge, because I never start and stop a project. I never start and finish a project in one sitting. I will never be that person. So kudos to anybody who can say, oh, I could do that in 6 hours flat. I'm happy for you. I'm really glad that you can. But most people can't. Okay? And using large yarn like that hurts. Okay? I wouldn't wish anybody to sit down for 6 hours and use that yarn straight, because you're gonna give yourself hand pain, you're gonna hurt, and it's not gonna be fun for anybody. So let's take this as a learning situation, and happy creating, because I love seeing other people make giant things. I think it's fun. I haven't made another one because I still have Stitch hanging out, and until somebody decides they want to take him home, he's gonna hang out with me, and that's fine, because I can keep making videos like this and educate. And you know what? I'm gonna keep making the trolls mad, because you're giving me views, you're giving me followers, and you're giving me attention, and I'm a Leo and I like attention. So happy creating. Thanks for being here. I appreciate y'all.